I'm sure it happens all the time, right? But the question is, why would someone sign a false confession, right?
Right, a false confession, that's right. It is hard to understand why anybody would sign something like that, especially when it could lead to decades behind bars or death row. So our next guest can shed light on that. Xavier Amador is a psychologist with the Leap Institute. Why do people sign false confessions?
Several reasons. One is that they're isolated, they're getting a lot of, you heard him, I was under a lot of pressure, they're traumatized. Imagine being picked up, you know you didn't commit a crime, and I tell you, you just raped and murdered an 11-year-old girl. So you're frightened. And then promises are made. A lot of people don't understand this or don't know this, but law enforcement is allowed to lie, and my understanding is there were several lies said to these two young men, these teenagers. You can go home if you sign this. How many of us have scrolled through on the internet, accept terms and conditions, and we click yes, and do we read a word? It may not be the best analogy, but it's not a bad analogy from my experience working on over 50 death penalty cases involving mentally ill people and those with disabilities like these two men, teenagers, mental disability. They actually, I believe it, believed they could go home if they signed this paper. If you sign this, you can go home.
Is there a certain category, as you said, teenagers, people who may have some mental issues?
Absolutely.
Is there a certain class? Is it class, race, or does it have anything to do with this?
It's a good question. There's two variables. One is the variable that you're describing, the characteristic of the person who's being interrogated. Do they have vulnerabilities? Mental disability, they're in their adolescence, they're younger. That's one set of vulnerabilities. Drug addiction as well, by the way, because your judgment is impaired. The other is the way in which the interrogation is conducted. And if people are isolated for 10, it can go on 10, 15, 18, it can go on overnight. And the isolation continues and they don't say those magic words, I want to speak to an attorney, which should end the interrogation. And when they don't say those words, they get befriended. You know, get this off your chest. Just tell us this and you can go home. And it is hard as it is for us to believe unless you're in their shoes or have that kind of incapacitation.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to really believe that they would actually sign this. And the fact that they recanted right away shows they didn't understand what they were signing.
Absolutely.
And the guy lived right there. It's like the closest to the crime scene.
Yes,
yeah, it was
they
crazy.
should have they should have connected the dots long before this. Dr. Xavier Amador, thanks so much for your expertise. It's great to talk to you.